Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the Mental Toughness and Body Show. Today we're going to discuss how to build your confidence to create big goals and actually take the steps necessary to achieve them. We've never been living at a time where our mental health is so challenged. We have fear, limiting beliefs, anxiety, depression, and really a lack of confidence. It's been impacting people around the globe, but our guest today is going to show you some practical strategies to reclaim your confidence and become the best version of yourself, which ultimately is what we want to be able to live our best lives. So, on this podcast, we've interviewed people from all walks of life, from your A-list celebrities, your billionaires to Olympic gold medalists. And today we have coach and podcaster Anthony Dahya. Anthony, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rob. It's great to be here.
So, Anthony, I'm sure your story will come out as we are asked the questions, but I want to ask you, somebody that feels stuck right now, and they're in a maybe it's a toxic situation or something like that. They don't know where to start to help, reclaim their life. We talk about mindset, we talk about confidence, but somebody's in that place right now and they don't know how to get started. What would you say to help them start to become unstuck?
Yeah, well, first of all, awareness is the first part. Once you're aware that you're stuck and you want some help, that's the first step. Then I think the second step for me in my philosophy of coaching is going on a discovery phase to find out what's actually happening for you. And as Tony Robbins says, many people have said this: life happens for you, not to you. So there are things happening in your life that are bringing up patterns or things that are making you feel that way, stuck. So as Einstein said, the same thought that created the problem cannot solve the problem. So I think, it's time when you're really stuck, when you can't move forward and you don't know where to go, it's important that you reach out to someone close to you, or someone like a friend or a family member who you trust, or even someone like a coach or a mentor that can guide you along that way, and give you a different perspective on how to move forward. But I think the main thing is what we got to do is really go internal and find out what is it that's happening for us.
That's tough, isn't it? Like my daughter, she's 19, and she said to me, like, "Are you okay, Day?" Right? She said,
Mm.
"Dad, I'm really not sure about that day because it's like I can say, Anthony, are you okay?" And you say no, and she's like, "Now what?" Like I'm not trained to be able to dig deep into that, and like I'm not a clinical psychologist. I'm not, a psychiatrist. I don't have those. This is what she's saying to me. I don't have those skills to be
Mm.
able to do that. And so family can be great in some circumstances, can't they? But I was asking also about that, like that if somebody's in a toxic spot, the what I find in the clients that I coach, the most toxic people in their life can be family. And so
Yeah,
if you're going to those people to ask for advice, it can be the wrong advice.
it
They
can
say,
be. Yeah.
"Oh, you'll be okay, Anthony. It's okay. This is just a phase of your life." Or they just they just give you really bad advice. They say, "Oh, just keep going." Well, keep going with the really bad idea that's going to get you nowhere. How do we navigate that?
Yeah, I think if you've got that kind of situation, then absolutely you've got to look outside the family and your friends, depending on where that toxic um, environment is,
But
and
you also don't know what you don't know, do you? Because
what you don't. No,
you've been molded
no,
with that around you, and you think, "Oh yeah, mum and dad always give me the best advice," or the sibling gives the
yeah,
best advice, but actually they have no success
yeah,
either. And so
no, no,
it is finding how do you like reach out to people like yourself, or
yeah.
the right sort of coach that does have these skills to be able to help them move forward.
Yeah, because going to a coach or a mentor or a counselor, someone like that is going to help you get a new perspective on, or they'll listen to you and they'll be able to then guide you and give you a different perspective. And most of the time, when you're actually voicing yourself to other people, the answers come from within you. You know, we've all got the answers within us, but but when we're in that situation, we can't see it clearly, right? So that's the time to reach out to a coach or a mentor or a counselor or someone that can hold space for you in a safe way, and they can then be able to take you through that process.
So when you think about the change process from going from, where perhaps you've been to where you are, we all have journeys and stories. And look, I think like something that I did yesterday with the Prime Minister was something that I could never foresee myself being able to do, say, 15 years ago, 30 years ago, being able to do. But it's only through doing a whole bunch of things consistently. And it's about
Mm,
getting started, right? And being able to do those things. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are around. I like the saying, "Done is better than perfect,"
mhm.
and you've got to, create some momentum. And sometimes I think people look at me and they think, "Well, I could never do that," but I'm not superhuman. And if I go back to me as a child, that was, would never public speak, was terrified, no confidence, etc., etc. And in many ways, that's taken 30, 36 years to build.
Mm.
But in other ways, there are things that have always been within you that you don't unlock. So when you think about helping coach somebody through, do you know what, you're not going to get to this level or whatever for maybe it's 30 years. But if you say, do you know what, Anthony, you're not going to reach your potential for 30 years, it's like, oh, are you kidding me? It's got to take that long. I'm out. But how do you coach people through that, knowing that, well, yes, but you are going to get improvement before then?
Yeah, so look, at the age of 15, I was told that I was useless. I was never going to amount to anything. I'll never be successful. But I proved to that person who was a family member because I believed and backed myself. And I think the first and foremost thing is you got to believe in yourself and back yourself. And that's what I tell my clients is that, you can achieve anything you want. But yeah, as you said, mentioned before, consistency is the key. When you take consistent steps towards your vision or your goal, and it builds competency, and that then competency builds confidence and motivation. A lot of people are sitting there going and waiting for the motivation to come, but it's not going to come until you start taking action. So, for example, yesterday was 1 year of my podcast, Champion Mindset Collective, being a year old. Now, I had to start. I started by
Mm.
doing that first trailer. If I hadn't have started, I wouldn't have got to where I am today. But I took consistent action. And like you're doing 2 or 3 episodes a day. I was doing one episode a day, but then I got to a point where I'm now doing, one episode a week, and then I'm doing like 2 to 3 episodes a week. And the more you do something that you love, you're going to put your energy into it. And as they say, where you put your attention, your energy will flow. So, do something that you're really passionate about. Do something that is going to excite you, and take consistent action towards it. And you will find that no matter what, you'll keep doing it because you love it. Often we don't finish things because we're not really we haven't bought into it.
Mm. What are your thoughts around? I'm a big person in like in that action, right? Again, people think, oh, well, and even with Tony Robbins, it's implied that you've got to take, because he talks about massive
Massive.
action, right? And that can be so overwhelming for
Mm,
people. Like I work with people that maybe have to lose over 100 kilos, yeah, of fat, to more, well, we don't call it morbidly obese anymore, but they're just, it's such a poor health situation that they want to change it. But if you say you've got to take massive action every single day, that person can't do that. And so I prefer the approach of any action is better than no action. And what works best is let's just move you this much today. And if
mm,
you can make that much improvement, whether you call it 1% or whatever, if you do that 365 days, that's 365% of little 1%. And you say, well, 1% is hardly anything. But over the course of a year, like if we're
compounding.
if we're graphing your performances to getting better, then
Mm,
well, or this way, depending on which way you're looking at the camera, um, it's better.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
I find it's these little micro habits that then, like I teach people about, I don't do diets or anything like that. It's like, how do we make a change that can ultimately lead to the healthiest lifestyle and, the you be in the top 1% of health for your age is going to come from these things. And so I'm interested in your perspective on that, because I think the massive action concept is just too overwhelming for most.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Rob. That can scare the crap out of anyone. And what I do is, like in business, you would plan your year by quarterly vision or goals or objectives, right? So what I say to my clients is that, what's something you want to do in a year, but let's break that down into quarterly goals, and then break that down into monthly goals, and then break that down into weekly goals, and then go, what's one thing you can do every single day that contributes to your weekly goal, your monthly goal, your quarterly goal, and so on? And like you said, 1% better is every 1% every day is a 365% better every year. And so it's about taking conscious action towards, it's about making sure that you know, you're not being, that you can achieve it, and making sure that you can do something small every day. And I mean, I've been on a journey myself recently around health and fitness, and what I'm doing is every day I go for a walk.
Yep.
Um, every day I watch what I'm eating, and just maintaining a healthy diet. I'm almost 54 years old, and I want to stay. I want to live a few more years. So,
Only a
what is one
few.
thing yeah. So what is one small thing I can do every day? And I've also got a health coach that she checks in with me every 2 weeks, and so I'm accountable to her, and then I make myself accountable to me, right?
Yeah.
So it's really whatever you want to achieve in your life, whether it's health, fitness, your life goals, you know, it discipline's important, and from my past, I grew up in a boarding school in an ashram in India, which was regimented like army and prison, and so it was very, very disciplined. So fortunately for me, I've learnt that discipline over the years, and I've
Mm.
maintained it. But also being compassionate to yourself. So if you miss a day or something, and something doesn't go right that particular day because of you've got other things on, not to beat yourself up. It's to really give yourself a compassion and say, look, it's okay. I'll do it tomorrow. And from tomorrow onwards, carry on. Don't beat yourself up, but give yourself compassion, and take one small action every day that contributes to your weekly,
Yeah.
monthly, quarterly, and yearly goal.
I do like, I think I said this before, but um, I've said it today at least once. Done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
And it's taking those actions. And I like to think of it, think about like your iPhone or any phone. What do they do with the iPhone? If they waited to get it completely perfect, we probably still wouldn't have one yet. So
No.
what do? They get out the latest version, and then what? Within a week or two, what do you get?
Yep.
You get an
You get
iOS
updates.
update
Yeah.
because they've found a bug, because now they've got heaps of people using it. They get the feedback and say, okay, we need to fix this. But you've got the new phone and you really don't care, because all you care about is the camera. And, life is very much like that as well, I think. A podcast is a perfect example. The number of people say to me that, oh, I've got to map out, all of this. I've got to get the studio time and all that kind of stuff. Most of my podcasts, I'm out walking. I'm driving in the car or something. And I think we live in a world now where people, they don't want the perfect experience. They don't want the scripted experience. Like, this isn't scripted. It's just people just want conversations, and they want to hear the real and raw nature of things. So I think one of the challenges that we have in setting these goals as well is like, oh, my goal's not big enough, or I don't exactly know what it is that I want in my life. And you mentioned before about passion, which is really important, but we still live in a world where probably 80% of people are going to jobs that they absolutely hate, and they do it for the money, and they hope that they can recover enough on the weekend, either through distraction, substances, or whatever, to forget about what their life was like on Monday so they can come back and do it all again. And hopefully
Mm,
take off 4 weeks a year to go on a holiday somewhere so they can forget it all and come back and say, oh, that's right, I really hate this, because most people's passions are around their hobbies and they don't know how to monetize those things. And that's a real problem, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. So I mean, for me, I've learned later in life that not to put all my eggs in one basket, and and like after 30 years of working in corporate world, 9 to 5, and going through 24 restructures and 4 redundancies, I finally come to the conclusion that um, you know I don't really want to be in that 9 to 5 model anymore, and
Mm.
I want to work in my own business. So made a choice to work in my own business and help people who are going through that change, the restructure, those things, and help them through that process, but also work with businesses and help them navigate that change and empower their people so that they can strengthen their business as well. A lot of organizations, and especially in the restructures I've been in, is that the, the communication drops. There's a lot of secrecy, and the people feel they feel scared and fear and anxiety. And I think it's so important that we connect at a human level rather than just treating people like a number, you know.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
yeah. So, like what I would recommend is if you're in the corporate world and you love the 9 to 5, that's all good. But find yourself a side hustle, something else that you can do that you're passionate about, and start working on that as well. Because eventually, once you start that action, consistent action, you might find that your life may take you into something that you love rather than what you like, you know. And I'd rather be doing what I love and have time freedom than to be doing something I don't like.
Yeah, I agree. I think confidence comes from also your results, right?
Yeah.
If you're not getting results, then your confidence either stays where it is, or pretty quickly it will start to deplete. And so I think one of the challenges people have is in seeing what those results are and looking for I'm not earning $1 million in my business yet, or whatever it is. Like, you're thinking too big, you're being unrealistic, and just again continue to focus on what it is that you can do every day. And my philosophy is, how can I make today better than yesterday? And be the best version of you. Don't try and be better than Anthony. Don't try and be better than me. If that inspires you in some way, then great. But aspire to be the best version of you. And I think if you're always putting forward your best effort, um, I had the opportunity to meet Phil Jackson, coach, the most successful NBA coach of all time, coached Michael Jordan as well as Kobe Bryant. And he said, even if they came off the court and they won, and he said, Anthony, how do you feel about today? And say, yeah, we won, fantastic. And he said, but I know you didn't put in your best effort. So I don't care about the win. I don't care about the loss. But if you've put in your best effort, then I can't ask any more. It's when you don't put in your best effort.
Mm,
And that's what's the hardest thing to do as a coach, to get everybody to bring up their best effort. And it was people like MJ and Kobe that raised the whole team up because they wanted to raise all their standards to a higher level so that they could compete with
mm.
with those great people. Um, yeah, so I think that's really important. I wanted to ask you, what's your biggest pet peeve when it comes to coaching people?
Pet peeve. I would say people really not valuing themselves, and and it's and it's not a negative thing. It's more that so many people have been, and it's more that I'm just frustrated that so many people have been have been conditioned in this way, um, that they are just revolving in that sort of that hamster wheel of like, hey, I'm not good enough to do this, and
Do you
and
find that most people condition themselves through their own negative self-talk, though?
yeah, absolutely,
No.
yeah. And thing is, we are our worst enemies because we when things happen, especially fear. When fear comes, we run the other way. But if we took fear as a friend and fear as feedback and going, hey, what is fear trying to tell me here? And then go into that become curious about what fear is telling you and step out of your comfort zone a little bit. And it's life, to me, life is all about expansion, right? And one thing to remember is that if you've got dreams and you're living in your comfort zone, then your comfort zone is where your dreams go to die. But when you step out of your comfort zone, that's when you can achieve your dreams because you're expanding your current self. And as you were talking about before, we often compare ourselves to other people.
Yeah.
Like like you've done 3,000 episodes, I've done 66 episodes. My podcast has been 1 year old yesterday, but I can't compare myself to you. But what I can do is compare myself to what I was yesterday. And
Yep.
if I
That's
can
right.
do that, if I can do better than what I did yesterday, then I'm on my way to success. And success isn't about money and all that stuff. It's about, are you moving forward? Are you adaptable to change? Because change is always going to be there. Fear is always going to be there. But let's start treating fear and change and anxiety, all that stuff. Well, if we're looking too far forward, then we're going to get anxiety. But let's start treating these things as friends that are guiding us and giving us feedback rather than being scared of them. Because the more we embrace these things, the more we're going to be able to get better and be successful.
Tell me about, say, discipline and accountability. You mentioned discipline before, but I think that's something that um, we obviously all need to achieve that success. But accountability is a little bit different. So tell me what your perspective is.
Yeah, so discipline, look, if you're look, my podcast is called the Champion Mindset Collective, and it's all about every person embracing the champion within them. So champions have discipline in their lives. Like you talked about Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, they had discipline in their training and to become the best of themselves. And they weren't comparing themselves against anyone else, but they were just working on becoming the best player in the team because the team
Yeah.
is made up of multiple people, not just one person. So, um, if if we are continually looking at building that discipline within our life and moving forward, taking consistent action, then I think that I feel that discipline will then allow you to build that confidence in your life and you'll be able to achieve what you want to. Yeah.
And so then tell me about the accountability side. How do you use that?
So accountability, I mean, if you've got a coach or um, there's times we need to be accountable to ourselves because the responsibility lies with us.
Mm,
A coach is just a guide, and you may be accountable to a coach, but I think fundamentally, I think first and foremost, we must be accountable to ourselves. Because if we can't be accountable to ourselves, then we're not going to be accountable to anyone else. So I think discipline and accountability work hand in hand. And you know, you you develop that discipline, but then you be accountable to yourself to say,
yeah.
hey, and like I said before, there are days when you're gonna hit a speed bump or you're gonna hit a hurdle, but don't beat yourself up but keep that accountability, keep that discipline, and just be kind to yourself and keep moving forward.
Yeah, for me, I think the biggest change that I've made in my life, probably over the last 7 years, has been my dramatic increase in focus on a daily
Mm,
basis, and the discipline part is my work ethic. And then I'm going to ask you about your sort of health and wellness in a second. But I make my health and wellness, fitness, mindset, nutrition, all of that, whatever you want to, however you want to language it. That's my number one priority in life because everything else in success will radiate from that. And that then helps create a lot of energy. And so, okay, now I've got a lot of energy. What am I going to do with it? Well, you've got to be really focused. So, what am I going to focus on? You can't focus on everything all at once. So, where I put my focus is what I'm going to put that energy into. And then that has enabled me to not only just work smarter, but work harder for longer as well and do it 7 days a week, as opposed to I used to have a mindset of 5 and have 2 days off. I don't do that anymore. And then that combined with the focusing on the little improvements every single day, it adds up. And when I look back, say 15 years ago when I first started my business, or even 7 years ago, I am fundamentally a different person. And the one person in my life that has helped me create that, I'm the one doing the work, but it's my coach that has just tapped into a completely different level of me and shown me what it means to be able to do these things. And it is stepping outside your comfort zone. It is doing things when you don't want to do them. But it's again, I didn't go from where I was 15 years ago to now. It's been a lot of failure, a lot of pain, a lot of heartache, a lot of I wish this was easier and I don't want to do this. But I know that if I want my full success, I've got to be the one that does the work. And I think one of the biggest challenges we have is we think that, say, let's get a new coach, let's get Anthony. You'll tell me one thing to do. I'll do that one thing one time, like going into the gym and doing a bench press one time and say, all right, I never have to do that again. You've got to do it over and over and over and over again consistently to build that muscle. And that's what our mind is, right? We've got to build that so that we can create us. And I think when people are looking at their confidence and where they are, you've just got to focus on the things that work consistently, don't you? Which is why I'm a little bit obsessed with success and understanding it. And when you put every successful person who you consider successful up and you drill down into what they all do the same thing in terms of focusing on their health, their focus, their work ethic. They're very rigid. They have a routine. It's very boring in some ways, but that's how they get the results. Um, so on that note, I wanted to talk about your health and wellness and fitness, and you spoke about it a little bit before, but how important that is to you in bringing out the best version of you.
Absolutely, Rob. Look, fitness isn't just about your body. It's not just
Yeah,
about how you look or how you feel. Um, your mental fitness is just as important as your physical fitness, um, because your mental fitness is what is your GPS. It's the computer system. It's the program that's going to drive you forward. Um, on days when you're not feeling like it, it's your mindset that's going to go, hey,
yeah,
we're going to do this. We're going to do this. So it's a balance, or more like all the different ways of in harmony when you're with your body, mind, body, and soul. So for me, the way I go about is that and when I wake up in the morning, I do gratitude um, every morning. I ground myself, making sure that I do a visualization where I see myself going into the center of earth and effectively grounding myself and then coming back into my body. And then I do a thing called segment intending where I'm putting intentions out for the day saying, wouldn't it be amazing if this happened today? And
hmm
and so on. Then I go for a walk and make sure that I'm walking for at least an hour, and then to go walk down to the beach, spend time with nature. Nature is amazing for when if you've got stuff clutter, a chatter going on in your head. If you've got things going on, nature is the best place to go. And just seeing the waves come in and out just really uh, regulates me and brings a focus back as well. Um, I listen to podcasts. If I'm driving, I'm walking, and I find that helps me really get focused as well. One of the things Rob Dial, the mindset mentor, talks about is that would you like to do the hard stuff now and do the easy stuff later, or would you want to do the easy stuff now and do the hard stuff later? I think the first one is probably where where you want to do is you want to do the hard stuff now, so that when you're older, you can do the easy stuff, right? So yeah, so I feel it's a balance, right? Mind, body, and soul, um, and making sure that you're also, putting the right things into your body, you're exercising your mind and your body. Yeah.
yeah, nicely said. Anthony, this has been a great conversation. I We could keep going for hours, but we've both got busy days. You said earlier before we started recording that you've got a 5 day challenge at the moment. So this would be a good way for people to connect with you, try you out before taking on your coaching services and so forth. I will put the link in below here, but tell us a little bit about that and how people can get in touch with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm running a 5 day challenge from the 25th of November to the 29th of November at 12 p.m. New Zealand time to 1 o'clock 1 p.m. every day. And what it is it's called Shift Happens. So what it's around is, people going through restructuring, change in their life, and they're feeling like they've got no clarity, they've got no confidence, they're struggling with resilience. This is something that I'm developing based on research, but also my own experiences of 24 restructures and redundancies and so on. And so it's about really what you're going to get out of this. We're going to look at the emotional side of change. How does our emotions get impacted by that? How can we communicate better? How can we build that confidence within ourselves? And how can we move forward with resilience and take action? And following that, then they can, if they really resonate with what I'm talking about and what I'm helping them showing in the 5 day challenge, they can then choose to work with me on a one-on-one basis as well, or group coaching.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to give you the last word in a moment, but a great conversation. Thank you for the work that you're doing, anything that we can do to help people's mindset and build their confidence from the inside out, and just be kind to yourself and take small steps. Then you're going to move yourself forward from where you are to
Mm.
closer to where it is that you want to get to. And I do think that we never really reach that final destination, because when you're on this journey of success, you achieve a bit and it's like, okay, that's fantastic. Okay, what's next? And you just keep moving it forward. So you're always kind of, it's like an endless corporate ladder that you're just searching for that next rung, right?
Well, as I say, Rob, at the top of every peak is another mountain to climb.
Yeah, nice. So, closing word to you. What's the best advice you've ever received?
Best advice is look inward, not external. Is look within yourself. All the answers that you're looking for are within you.
Nice work. Thanks so much for joining us today, Anthony.
Thanks, Rob.